episode of My Conversation is sponsored by Dope Barbershop, an old-time barbershop experience with a modern feel.
Hey, welcome back to My Conversation on this Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, waking up with us, and continuing your week with My Conversation. I'm your host, Austin Reed. Another great segment for you today. We've got the owner of Legends Comics and Games of Fresno, along with Bill. So give it up for Darrick, the owner, and Bill. All right. Hello, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us here.
Good to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. So talk a little bit about Legends Comics and Games. How long have you been around for now?
We opened the first store at Fashion Fair in December of 2015, so we're just a little over a year old. And we opened our second location last November at Sierra Vista Mall in Clovis.
So you're growing.
Yes.
Fast, very fast. What was the whole idea?
Well, I've been in the comics buying, selling, and trading since 1984. Since I was in middle school, I've always done it, and I was pretty good at it. And, you know, I did my career in retail, and it was always in the back of my mind, I want to own a comic shop one day. And you know what better place to do it than Fresno?
Sure, yeah, Central Valley. And there's a lot of people here that are comic lovers, right? I mean,
absolutely, with the
huge.
movies, the TV shows.
This is a great place to do it. Okay, so Bill, how did you get involved?
Well, my first job when I was 12 was a comic store. Just by luck, I kept bugging the guy every day until he gave me a job.
Nice.
Always been reading them, you know. Being dyslexic, they print everything in capital letters. It helped me read better. I've even transferred that over. I did a class at Hoover High School about 2 months ago with the special ed class there, and it was just amazing. It's just, you can teach a lot of people a lot of things about comics. It's just always been into my life. I'm a retired bricklayer, but you always read something.
Sure.
Of course, I like art and reading. Comics made the most sense.
It's two and two together.
You just can't get away from it once you start.
Right. So with the first store, and that's how you guys kind of joined together. Were you friends beforehand, or how did you meet? I'm just curious.
I met him through a friend of a friend.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, when I lived in San Jose, I would come out here to eat lunch. People think it's crazy, but I would drive 2.5 hours because of this amazing restaurant.
What restaurant's that?
Antonio's.
Antonio's.
They're up across from River Park.
Okay.
Great place to eat, great service. But we would drive from San Jose just to eat lunch and then go back.
Wow.
But during the transition of opening the business, one of the employees there told me, "Hey, I know this old guy that's in the comic books. If you guys are hiring, I'll send him your way." I said, "Sure. I want to meet somebody that's in the comic books as much as I am."
Right, right. And then and now the rest is history, as they say.
Yep, enough said.
Enough said. Okay, so now gaming is huge.
Oh, absolutely. We run gaming events, tournaments. We do Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering card game, Pokemon card game, which is really huge ever since the Pokemon Go phone app came out. It's had a big resurgence. We do all kinds of things.
It's kind of funny, too, because it's like you guys are kind of, with your business model, you're always on the verge of the next big thing.
That's what we try to do.
Yeah.
I mean, because hobbies and trends are always changing, and just as business is always changing, you just need to adapt to it.
So, Bill, walk me through your first location and kind of how it's set up.
Gotcha. You're going to come in through the door, and it's going to be like walking into Disneyland, but a lot less to pay when you come in.
Nice.
Just everywhere you look, eye candy, cool stuff, pop culture, comics, figures, statues, you know, just anything you can think of. Then you're walking through, and then there's this huge comics section. You know, you look over on the other side, all this card gaming. You go around back towards the front, and you have a bazillion, as Bugs Bunny would say, board games, and all this stuff that is just so relative to from 8 to 80. We'll have people from 8 to 80. Something in there's going to pop, and they're just going to go, "Oh my goodness!" And you start conversations. You meet. I've met so many friends just working there. Sure. Because everybody's got different tastes.
So and that's why it's so cool, because you have stuff in there from whether it was the big in the 50s or 60s, big in the 80s, 90s, and then today. I mean, it's just a whole variety, which I'm sure you get a lot of from your customers saying, "Man, you have something from every time period."
Well, we've got comics from 1943 on up, from World War II all the way to the latest games that just come out. So I mean, it covers a pretty broad area.
Before the segment, you were showing me
yes.
some cool stuff. What?
Yes, please.
This is phenomenal. So, tell me what's the idea behind this?
Well, Darrick, if you don't mind.
Sure. What some of the publishers do is they allow retailers to have their logo on very limited edition comics.
Okay.
The one in your hand is a Star Wars comic. It's issue #1 of that new character that they just came out with, and it was limited to only 3,000 copies.
All right. And then this.
Mighty Captain Marvel #1. That was another one we did with Marvel Comics. That character is going to be getting her own movie soon.
Nice.
And that's a new independent, smaller company, but they reached out to us.
Okay.
They actually contacted us and talked to us about getting our logo on their book, which, I mean, why wouldn't I want to do that?
Yeah.
It's just awesome. I mean, really it's to make Fresno a place that's cool. You know,
Thank
pop
you.
culture, not just all the negative stigma that you always hear on the
Sure.
news.
It's putting the Central Valley back a good. It's giving a good name to the Central Valley.
That's our goal.
Yeah.
That's our goal, because this is a great place to live.
It is. It really is, and especially like you said, good restaurants and Antonio's. Now I'm gonna have to check that
If
out.
you've never been there, you have to try
I
it.
will have to check that out. But I also want to before I go to Antonio's, I'm going to check out Legends Comics and Games.
Absolutely, you will have a blast.
2 locations. Give everybody the information real quick before we go.
Fashion Fair Mall and Sierra Vista Mall. Fashion Fair, we're on the outside across from Fleming Steakhouse. In Sierra Vista Mall, we are right next to the movie theater ticket office.
Okay, very good.
Can't miss us.
Darrick, the owner, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bill, thank
to meet you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate your time, guys. I'll be in soon, okay?
Sounds great.
And you check it out as well, Legends Comics and Games. We'll be right back. You're watching My Conversation.